gun laws are for people that don't shoot people in schools. You're a liar.
You just run your mouth and
no,
you're
it's
loud.
Not running my
yeah,
mouth.
yeah, you are.
No,
We're actually talking to the American people here.
Everything.
And bankrupting law-abiding businesses such as Smith & Wesson.
No, you don't.
Meanwhile,
my name is Dudley Brown. I'm the president of the National Association for Gun Rights. We're standing here in front of the U.S. Supreme Court and 55,000 petition signers, all of whom are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to dismiss the case of Mexico versus Smith & Wesson. This is a blatant attempt by a foreign power to use our courts to impose European-style gun control on American citizens. Now, I was in Geneva, Switzerland in August for the Arms Trade Treaty, and I can tell you that Mexico openly called for all their countries, the signatories of the Arms Trade Treaty, to file similar cases, just like theirs. This is clearly not what our founders intended. It's clearly what is not allowed by the Constitution, but that's what they're trying to do. And the Supreme Court must rein them in.
The reality is this is an attack on the Second Amendment. But let's mention something else that I think is equally important. It's an attack on the sovereignty of our nation.
You know, Mexico's frivolous lawsuit is nothing more than a pathetic attempt to unjustly pin the blame of violence perpetrated by Mexican cartels onto American firearm manufacturers. I would like to remind them that our God-given Second Amendment freedoms are not a scapegoat for the Mexican government. If the Mexican government wants to blame someone for the cartel's atrocities, how about looking in the mirror? Their inability to combat crime is a testament to their failed policies and inadequate leadership. Instead of confronting this reality, Mexico is attempting to hijack our judicial system, dismantle our sovereignty, and destroy our Constitution. We will not allow anti-gun tyrants, foreign or domestic, to violate our unalienable right to keep and bear arms. So I urge the Supreme Court to choose common sense, uphold the rule of law, and protect our constitutional freedoms by throwing out Mexico's baseless lawsuit. Thank you, and now I'd like to turn it over to my friend Chip Roy.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate the National Association of Gun Rights, and I appreciate my colleagues for coming here today. We're standing here in front of the United States Supreme Court asking that court to defend the Second Amendment rights of the American people. The irony of Mexico coming into the United States and filing suit when it is Mexico that has allowed the cartels to be armed and their citizens not to be armed. The irony of Mexico coming to the United States, infringing on our sovereignty, I think is rich with respect to what we must do to defend the Second Amendment of the United States. Mexico's lawlessness is causing death to the American people. Mexico is allowing cartels to kill the American people. And the fact of the matter is, let me look directly at Mexico and the Mexican government and tell you that we have a phrase in Texas, and it's called "come and take it." You want to meet us? You come to Gonzales, you come to San Jose. We've had that fight before, and it didn't work out very well. We will defend the Second Amendment of the United States without question. Thank you. I'll hand it back over to my friend Eli Crane.
We're here today because Mexico is alleging that U.S. Firearms Company are aiding in the trafficking of firearms into Mexico's. Really? What proof do you guys have of that? I strongly urge the Supreme Court to take down this lawsuit and dismiss it. Sounds like a deflection to me of where the real responsibility lies. They don't want to deal with their own organized crime. They don't want to deal with the cartels. If you want to stop violence in Mexico,
in every state,
you should start by looking at your cartels and your corrupt politicians that are in bed with them. I would also warn the Mexican government to tread lightly with these lawsuits. It's pretty clear that they brought these lawsuits under a weak, incompetent administration of the Biden-Harris administration. Well, I've got news for you. We have a new administration coming into town that will not tolerate this. This is just beautiful, watching
this heckler and protester over here who doesn't want to hear our argument. She just wants to be loud and annoying. Well, congratulations, ma'am. You have been 100%
I don't need to be loud and
effective.
annoying. I
Yeah,
can be
no, you
very
don't want to hear
quiet.
our arguments.
Of course
so you
I
just
don't,
sit
because
here and
you're a
run your
liar.
mouth.
You're a liar.
You just run your
You're
mouth
a liar.
and
No,
you're
it's
loud.
not running my
yeah,
mouth.
yeah, you are.
No,
we're
you are
we're actually
running your
we're actually
mouth.
talking to
You
the
are
American
running
people
your
here.
mouth, and I'm an American citizen.
Thank you. Yeah, so
and
am I.
I am. So
Maybe you should
so,
read the Constitution.
Maybe
because
you should read it. Maybe you should
Yeah, I
read
have
it
read
because
it.
I've been behind
And
those doors.
we have a right
I've
to
been
bear and
behind
keep
those
arms.
doors.
And you don't want to
Yeah.
see that continue
It's-
anymore.
Second Amendment was
Thank you so
written
much,
in
guys.
that
I
time
appreciate
period.
the opportunity to be here.
It was written in that time period. It's not
You
the
can have
Second
the
Amendment
time right after
anymore.
we're done.
I want to welcome my colleague from Tennessee, Andy
You are
Ogles.
some big white man who's going to tell me what to do. Shut up.
Well, we want to thank you all for being here today. We've heard from advocates for your Second Amendment, my colleagues from the Village Idiot. I think what we have to recognize is that without a Second Amendment, there wouldn't be a First Amendment.
That's right.
Her right to stand here and to say what she says is because of the Second Amendment, because of my colleagues who have worn the uniform and protected this country. That someone can stand here disrespecting the fact that these heroes shed blood to defend her right. It's a right that I take seriously, and she clearly does not. But it should be noted that you have a foreign nation infringing on our sovereignty. You have a foreign nation who is trying to usurp our Constitution. And I'll say this. We all know that this lawsuit is frivolous. It has no standing, and it is a direct attack on your freedom, even her freedom. And I would encourage the Trump administration to act swiftly with tariffs on any country that comes after our Second Amendment right, who infringes on our right to bear arms and defend our families, who would betray the bloodshed by our veterans. I love this country. I love my right to bear arms. Thank you all for being here.
I come from the district where Remington Arms is one of the longest continuously manufacturing gun manufacturers in the country, was lost in New York because of bad laws. We now have a foreign country interfering with the gun rights of American citizens. I stand proudly for the sovereignty and the constitutionality. I'm so grateful to all of you for standing here. I'm also will join with Mr. Ogles in celebrating our First Amendment rights. No other country in the world celebrates our First Amendments like we do, while we're being heckled by a person who doesn't understand all the rights of all American citizens to debate in the public sphere. So thank you so much.
I'm from Detroit. I know what real gun laws mean. I know what gun laws mean. Hey man, are you like that stupid?
A country that prides itself
Are
on
you that
freedom,
stupid?
independence, and the right to
Oh,
bear arms.
you don't even look dumb.
Today we are not alone in defending those Constitution.
You don't look dumb. You are dumb. Yeah, I don't have to listen to you. Yeah. And I will tell you now, gun laws are for people that don't shoot people in schools. Gun laws need to protect our students at school. Yeah, well, just move it back. Well, I'll move that. Sorry. She will tell me. She will tell me. She doesn't need a protector. Okay, thank you. Gun laws are for us to be protected against. No, I don't. No, you're not. I don't care.
You know, Smith and Wesson versus Mexico should never have been brought before the Supreme Court because our laws are clear. Gun manufacturers acting in good faith cannot be held liable for criminal violence. Criminal violence, there's no such thing as gun violence. Criminal violence from misusing firearms. And the Supreme Court should not let a foreign country interpret our laws. But Mexico would rather sue U.S. companies than do anything to crack down on their crime problem perpetrated by their cartels. Mexico wants to implement gun control in the U.S. while seizing assets from and bankrupting law-abiding businesses such as Smith & Wesson. Meanwhile, here in America, the left doesn't understand that guns are not the problem, criminals are the problem.
Yeah, and who
if
are
the
they?
Supreme
They're
Court does
American
not dismiss
criminals.
this case
American
and
drug
allows
users.
Mexico to prevail,
American
it will
fentanyl
open a back
users.
door for U.S.
Yeah,
companies to be
Americans want
subject
the
to
drugs.
gun control laws
Americans
in
want
foreign
the guns.
countries. So
American
thank you
wants
to my
them all.
colleagues for being here today to stand up for one of our most precious God-given rights, for which we have the unique protection among nations in the world that protect that God-given right, not just to self-defense, but to ensure that this government doesn't become tyrannical, and that's what the founders intended with the Second Amendment. So thank you to National Association for Gun Rights. Thank you to my colleagues for leading the charge to inform the public in this country about the threat to our Second Amendment rights. And folks, what you see on display is the left. The left cannot stand the truth. Truth is on our side. The law is on our side. The Constitution is on our side. And right is on our side. And right is on our side. And right is on our side. With that, I yield back.
Yield back all the way to the end of the line.
I think what we'll do, rather than take individual questions from reporters, maybe she'll be busy, or maybe the paddy wagon will come by and get their escapee.
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Apologize, but.